I didn't know what I wanted to do. I took on a role in the local supermarket in Tipperary town, and I was offered an opportunity to become a trainee manager. I suppose I accepted that, and with open arms I said, look, this is a great opportunity for me.
I just left school and went to retail. I started working for Superquinn. I was working for Fergal Quinn, and I didn't realise at the time that I was actually learning from the master.
I had done engineering in college and decided it wasn't for me. I guess I was 21 and I loved fashion, and I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. So I went for it at the age of 21.
I studied pharmacy in Trinity. I'm from the north originally, came to Dublin, always wanted to come to Dublin, studied pharmacy, and this was the first pharmacy in Dublin I ever walked into. And I fell in love with this pharmacy.
I have a business degree from the University of Limerick. When I left that, I started directly in retail on the shop floor as a sales consultant in a mobile phone company which was just setting up at the time. So I have worked my way from sales consultant to store manager to area manager to operations manager to commercial director to retail director.
So I'd always heard people talking about Harrods, and I went up to their recruitment department and said, you know, I had a few weeks to spare, and was there any chance of getting a role? And so I started a role for their sale, and I left 10 years later.
I was in Hong Kong and I was working in investment banking for 5 years, and then I decided this is not challenging enough for me, and so I was like, oh, I want to work in business. But I didn't know anything about business at that time, so I came back to Ireland and decided to learn from my parents' business, and that's how I came into retail.
I did an arts degree in UCD. I studied politics and sociology. I was considering becoming a nurse. It was like a 12-month gap before they were taking in nurses. I applied for a job as an advertising assistant in Harvey Norman, and I haven't looked back.
Well, I left school at 18. And I had a dilemma. I'd been working part-time in retail from the age of about 15. I worked for Roche Stores Group on a part-time basis, and I had a choice to go to college straight away and do a marketing program, or join Roche's as a trainee manager. And they were very convincing, so I took that, and then I got promoted to a store manager, so I became a general manager with your own store. It was quite a big move, and I was quite young still. But I learned all about, you know, retail operations, supply chain, store management, service, merchandising, seasonal changes, interacting with the public.
When I finished my diploma in horticulture, I went on, I done landscaping. I set up my landscaping business, Arboretum Landscapes, which is now part of the Arboretum portfolio. I brought the landscaping back in because at that stage I felt the natural thing, an opportunity arose within the business for me to step back in, so I took it on, and I did have a few years doing my own thing, which was successful, and it was nice to bring it back in.
I studied business, and I've worked in entertainments for a while, and I've worked for others, but I was drawn back to the business that Rachel and Frank kind of developed 38 years ago, from a very small polytunnel in Rachel and Frank's kind of back of the house to nursery production to being the retail store that we have here now.
I was instantly bitten by the retail bug. I realised very quickly that my strength wasn't in selling. I didn't enjoy the selling aspect of it, but I was very much interested in the support or the service aspect.
It was always going to be retail for me. It's what I know, and I'd like to think it's what I'm good at. I studied for a while, and I came back then to the family business and learned various aspects of it, and I worked in various parts of the business, and I've learned what I've learned on the job.
I was in a sales position before I was here, which was it was a lot more like direct sales, even though it kind of was a skincare end of things. So that was what I came from, and when I came here, like it was a completely different environment. With the pharmacy, you're really listening to your customers. It's very much more so about trust and that type of thing, rather than going in and going straight into the heavy sale with the customers.
I was originally always working in cafes. I worked as a cook. My original career path was to go down the catering side. I was working in a cafe on site with Arkeen stores, and then I was offered a job in the food store. I decided that I would take the opportunity to learn something new and to experience a different job, and actually that's where I discovered my love for retail.
I've been in retail for 19 years, initially in a part-time capacity while at college. I found retailing really enjoyable and challenging. So when the opportunity of training manager was offered, I jumped at it and I haven't looked back.
I've been butchering now for about 17 years, which is a long time. Yeah, it's a nice section to be in because you have quality control, you have some skill to it. There's obviously the customer interaction is very important. So there's quite a lot to learn about it. There's quite a lot to know. There's some very specialised things that you might do, and it's a useful skill now. You could go pretty much anywhere with it.
When I finished college, I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. So I got a job working as a labourer on a building site for a shop fitter. And that store that we were working on actually turned out to be the Harvey Norman store in Kinsale Road in Cork. And as I was working there, I got to know the managers who were going to be running the store, and they offered me a job as a salesman. And 9.5 years later, here I am.